don't need to worry about it. And then the last one is always do your best. And that's what I always put through for my life and for my business, is always do your best, because, as long as you're doing your best, then you've gotten to that point. Like, if somebody's not satisfied with something, then you can't help them. Like, you've done your best to help either produce a product or tell them a story or whatever it is that you're doing. But as long as you live by these 4 agreements.
Welcome to Scratch Your Own Itch podcast, the show about the things we think about but don't ever talk about. My name's Logan Tyler Nelson, and I'm your host. These conversations are about creating a life worth living, with a focus on sharing stories about battles in our heads. Topics range from depression, addiction, self-doubt, past traumas, and everyday compulsive thinking. And my hope is that this show will just shed some light on anyone in the dark that feels like they're alone in their daily struggles. Please take note that this show is not meant to be a replacement for professional diagnosis or professional therapy. I am not a counselor or a therapist. Hey guys, so I've got a pretty awesome guest on today. When it comes to making you look like a superhero, my guest today can do just that. Imagine being the star of your own movie. That'd be pretty cool, right? Well, she can do that because for 2 reasons. 1, she's a superhero herself. And 2, she's a master storyteller, visual storyteller. Tamara Thompson is my guest today, and Tamara is a creative director of Serious Take Productions who has found her niche with inspiring storytelling within video production. She's not just one shaded gal, though. She is passionate about golf, storyboarding, building relationships, and directing documentary films that inspire. She produced films and edited for corporate clients such as Microsoft, Starbucks, and more. But Tamara left the corporate world knowing that she wanted to become her own boss and has never looked back. But it hasn't been all rainbows and cherries for Tamara. Tamara has had battles with addictions and also lost friends to suicide. So my hopes today is for her to share those stories and also go through on what she's excited to keep on itching for today. So thank you, Tamara Thompson, for coming on Scratch Your Own Itch.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and share a little bit more of my story. I definitely have lots of stories, but we'll definitely cut into some of the deep ones here.
Uh-oh. That just prefaced me with my heart just literally stopped. I discovered Tamara through a podcast I currently intern for, guys. Create Your Own Life. And honestly, Tamara, the story just really touched me and made me feel less alone. So I think any of you out there that are having battles with addictions or having battles with themselves and also having talks with friends about suicide, this is definitely going to be a rich, deep conversation for you. And I will love to introduce you guys to Tamara's sort of traumatic experience. So what happened with alcohol when you were in high school, I believe it was?
Well, what's funny is that I was actually that good girl all the way through high school, college, and I really didn't start drinking till about age 23. It was interesting. I had lost some friends to drunk driving accidents and other things like that, and I just kind of stayed clear from it. And I just knew I was like, I didn't want to drink or anything. But in my battles of my life, through many years, I was battling my sexuality, and it was to help cover up. I was in a a relationship with a female from age like 19 to 22, just basically, but nobody knew about it. And she was more open with people. And so what happened there is I always felt like I was missing out because everyone saw this female as my best friend, which she was, but she was also my partner in life. And I hadn't come out to friends or family, and I was ashamed of my feelings and everything, because I also went to church, and I also I believe in faith, and I believe in God, and all these emotions were striking like into me really hard during my early 20s. And then there was a moment where I was dumped, basically, and that was my journey into more of addiction. So, but during that process, nobody understood like why this person was no longer my friend, which she was no longer my girlfriend. And so I started drinking a lot. And the day after I was dumped, I was actually hit by a car. And what happened there was I was actually out running, like trying to get aggression out. I was upset. I was angry. I was hurt. And I had headphones in, and I was just blasting it. And I was running really hard. And I don't want to say it was my fault, but I wasn't fully paying attention, of course. But this car failed to stop at the stop sign as I was crossing the crosswalk. I was jogging, and the guy nailed me back, and I hit my head on the side of the concrete. And I was knocked out for about 27 hours. I woke up in the hospital, and it was a hit and run. The guy left me there, and somebody else found me. And the sad thing was I went through all these emotions then, and at that point, the person that dumped me didn't want to even come to the hospital to see me. Like, I just started kind of spiraling into depression. From there, I was a fitness trainer, where that messed up my fitness, where I couldn't work out. I couldn't play basketball in college anymore. I basically started just getting more and more depressed, and I just started drinking. And because of my sexuality, I felt like I needed to reach out and try to find people that I could connect with. So I actually started going out to the LGBT bars to try to find people that were like me at the time. And so I started finding people that had similar, stories of coming out and stuff like that. And so I finally felt like I fit in. But I realized that I started just drinking nonstop, and I would go out to the bars, and it would be Sunday night every night. It was $1 pitcher night. I mean, you can imagine how many pitchers of beer you could buy for $1. And so it just got to the point where I was at the bar 5 nights a week for a good consistent, probably 6 years. And it started to get even worse through that journey. Within the first few months of drinking really heavily and not being over the breakup, not being out to my family, people not understanding why I was going through this, because I didn't talk about it. I didn't let it out. I should have talked to more people. And and the only people I talked to were other people in that LGBT community at the time. But the people that I was hanging out with had the same issues. They went out and drank all the time. They were, doing the same things. But I felt like it was the norm because everybody else in that community was doing it at that time. And so I really just kept drinking and drinking. But after the first few months of the breakup, there was a night where I was pulled over. I was going like over 100 miles an hour on a bridge, and I had open containers in the back of my car, and the officer didn't see it. And the officer let me go. And I was like, whoa. He was like, just slow down, because when people have issues, and most of the time drunk drivers, they drive slower than the limit. I was the exact opposite. Every time I ever got pulled over, I was like the speed racer. Like, go, speed racer. And so it was interesting. So like I got let go that one time, right? I got this really high speeding ticket, actually reckless driving ticket, exactly a week later, because this was my pattern. I went to the bar every Sunday night, and I drove the same road back to where I was, the same highway, like sped every time. And I mean, obviously somebody was telling me, giving me signs like, stop what you're doing. You're hurting yourself, your mind, your body, your reputation, everything. But exactly a week after that, I got pulled over again in the same exact spot. And that time I actually was thrown in jail. I did get booked for a DUI. And it was hard. And it was interesting because I actually had the officer call my mother. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to drive her to you. Like he was a nice state patrolman. He unlike some of the other people I dealt with along the way, but this guy actually genuinely cared. And he was like, you know what? to my mom. He was like, you know what? I'm just going to drive her over to you. I just thought I want to talk to you about her. So he actually drove me out to her place and was like, sat down with her and said, she's what you call a seasoned alcoholic. And I'm really worried about her. This woman is here and she's fully functional. She's got a really high BAC level, 1.8, and she's totally functional. She passed all the field sobriety tests. She can have a normal conversation. She just reeks of alcohol, but she just acts normal otherwise. And my mom was like, what? Like, she had no clue that I had these things going on. She knew I was getting depressed. She knew I was going out more. She knew I wasn't hanging out with my old best friend partner. And so it was very, interesting time. My mom, like, she was like, okay, well, we'll get you help and stuff like that. And, for 2 weeks, I didn't drink at all. I was like, okay, I got this. I have a problem, right? I was like, okay, no, well, I can just go out and just not drink, right? Or not drink that much, or just have a drink per hour, or whatever they say is legal, right? So 2 weeks after that, I went to a friend's bachelorette party, and from there, I actually didn't drink. But then all of a sudden, I got my call from my Sunday night, partiers, and they're like, where are you? Come on out. It's dollar picture night. I was like, oh, I really shouldn't. But I did. And then guess what I did again? But I hadn't ate anything that day. So the fact of going out and drinking, my tolerability was a little bit different. And I ended up leaving, and I was completely trashed and just throwing up down my shirt. I threw up down the side of my car. I ended up getting pulled over again, and then they had to call my mom again. And my mom's like, what is wrong with you? Like, what is seriously wrong with you? And I still couldn't tell her. I still couldn't tell her why I felt the way I did. And it was really hard. Like, now that I know there's so many more people out there that have similar situations and things like that, like, I wish I would have talked to more people. That just came out, and it took me a couple more years before I came out. But the process of that, like, it was just interesting. So I would continue, and then after a while, after that incident, I had license suspended and everything like that. But I still drink. Quite a bit, and I was that person that was like the life of the party, and people were like, I'll come pick you up, Tamara. But here I was putting them in jeopardy because half of them were drinking and driving, and I was like, I'm not drinking and driving, so it's okay. And so it just really hurt me, and it hurt other people. I mean, a lot of these people have never gotten DUIs, but what happened with my story, so I won't go into all of it. Fast forward 3 years later, I had already come out to my friends and family at this point, but and I'm accepted by everyone. It's fine. I'm totally out to everybody. But what happened though is I went back to school for fitness training, and I had gotten into the program. And because I had worked at in an actual health club, professional health club that actually catered to like Microsoft and it was a large one in Washington State. And what happened there was it was like my intuition was like, don't go with them. And they're like, come on out and celebrate. You just got into the program you wanted to. I'm like, okay. And it did the same thing again. I just went out, and at this point I had been smoking cigarettes, and I'd smoked cigarettes on and off for about 10 years. And I flicked a cigarette out the window, and that's what triggered a litter from a cop that just passed by. He saw me litter, and I got pulled over again. I had a lot of miracles come through with my cases. That case actually was dropped because one of the officers on there had been accused for fraudulent claims. And so everybody's cases were dropped, which was a miracle because I could have went to jail for a long time there. But then it happened again. 5 days before Christmas 2000, I was pulled over again. And at this point I was drinking at night. I was drinking. I never drank in the mornings or anything like that. I never got up and started drinking, but I just always had to be drinking. And it got to be the point where it was really bad, where I was driving around drinking these tall cans of alcoholic iced tea. And my friends always just thought I really liked tea, and I never told them. And it was so bad. I ended up telling them later in life, like, I was driving you around intoxicated, and they wouldn't know because I was just this lighthearted person, fun, outgoing, because I was like that anyways. But it really started taking a toll on me. And I started like, stealing like my roommate's alcohol, and, it'd be something that was important to her or something. And she'd be like, where is this bottle I bought? I bought that for my parents, like things like that. I was like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? I wasn't thinking. And, I just, my life went into a whirlwind. But by 2000, when I got pulled over again, this would be a fourth time that I actually went into jail. I had actually, luckily, had one case dropped as a deferred, which basically is like your get out of jail free card. And then other cases where the one was the fraudulent claim by the cop, and all these like crazy things were going on in my favor. But by this last time, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to jail. And it's true. And I did. And so I went to jail for 90 days, but I also was on house arrest for over 4 months. And then I had in-home breath tests for 9 months. And then I had to have an interlock device on my vehicle for 5 years. And it was embarrassing, and all the emotions that go with that. Like, what's really hard about it is I did end up pulling out of this, but I know friends of mine, and I can share those stories too, that never got out of this. And I've lost them now to suicide. And one of them that was close to me just passed away 2 months ago, which it hit really hard because I knew she was reaching out for help, and I felt really bad about it after the fact.
Hey guys, I gotta interrupt this real quick to do a call to action, as they call it in the podcasting world. I've got this call to action about, have you ever had a story that you felt like you needed to share? A story that you need to get off your chest? And you have this imposter syndrome in which you think that it's not good enough to share. But let's be honest, any trauma that you've ever gone through needs to be shared. You deserve for your voice to be heard. So if you ever want your voice to be heard, please let me know. I'd love to help you with a podcast. Maybe writing books just isn't your thing, but a podcast, you're a talker. You know how to talk. Well, back to my interview. Wow. A lot has gone in your life. Oh my gosh. The drinking though, it's really odd because I know that it does become almost a sort of like, you just don't feel normal until you have it again. And it's not even like, I think a lot of people think it's like, oh, and this is just my experience, and I feel like you may resonate with this, is it's not that I'm like drinking to get rid of my problems. I'm drinking just to feel like
No.
me again. Like I just don't. And like when people talk about like authenticity now and like being yourself, you're like, oh, if you only knew this sort of version of me and what I need to do in order to get to that place. And that's where it gets scary, when you go down that rabbit hole of just drinking more and more and more, and then all of a sudden the new tolerance is literally like
Really high.
bottles, where in order to just be yourself and function, you need to like spend $25 just to do that, which adds up when you have
It's
other
hard.
stuff on your plate. Yeah.
Well, it got so bad that, I would buy like a 12-pack of beer, and it got to be a point where I couldn't have beer because beer was like water to me. And, I could drink a 12-pack by myself and just not be phased. My roommate and I would go to like happy hour. Like it was hard because I didn't want to say that she had an addiction problem. I felt like she could control it a little bit more than me, but there was situations where she's like, hey, you want to go to happy hour? But it would be the grill down the street where we can walk, which is great because we were living somewhere where we could walk everywhere to the bars and everything. And then, but they had happy hour from like, I think like 3 to 6, and then they opened it up back from like 9 to close. And so we would be those people that would come in between 3 and 6. We'd leave, go somewhere else, and then we'd come back. I was like, what's wrong with us? Like, really? And then after the place would close, we would walk over to the convenience store right next to our apartment and go pick up another 6-pack. It was just like, why was my purpose to like drink my I didn't have to drink to be social. I knew that. But what was really weird about it is when I did start drinking more, like I used to be when I was younger, like when we first started going out to like clubs and bars and stuff, and I really didn't get into drinking till about 23. So from 21 to 23, I would just go out and I'd have fun and I'd dance and have fun and party and socialize without alcohol. And then I got to the point where I had to drink in order to dance. It was really weird. Like, I don't know where that changed in my life, where I felt like I needed to have a drink in order to loosen up. Like my mindset had changed dramatically, like throughout that process. Like, and then I kept thinking like I had to have a drink, and then I'd tie in cigarettes. And so I'd smoke cigarettes. And, as weird as I was almost, when I was pulled over by the last DUI officer, that was the last time I had a cigarette ever. That was my last cigarette. And I haven't smoked since, and I haven't had a drink since either. But the thing is I had more cravings for cigarettes and headaches for nicotine cigarettes during my first sobriety run than I did for alcohol. I was like so scared into sobriety that I knew I needed to change. I knew I needed to remove everybody from my life that was causing me to act this way. It was my own choices, my own behavior, but I had to separate myself from people. And sometimes that's really hard. And I think that's what hurt me as well, though, is in some of the senses, I felt like I lost a lot of friends, even though I figured out who my real friends were. They're people that stayed around. And what was hard is a few years later, my friend that actually took her life a couple months ago, her best friend, that I was friends with as well, she took her life about a few years ago. And I think after she took her life, I felt like my friend just didn't really recover from that. She had a similar story to mine. She ended up getting, I think, 3 DUIs. She ended up hiring my attorney because she trusted me and saw the results of him helping me through that process. So she hired him. She was going to AA. She was going through treatment. And all I know is a few months ago, she had just signed up for another new treatment program that she was really excited about. I had been through 3 treatment centers myself, and the third time actually I actually became sober, and I read the 4 agreements. And that book is, even though it's small and it's like very simple, the 4 agreements, basically, I live by those agreements now. Like, I read that and I was like, okay, I needed something to latch onto. And from there, I was like, okay, I'm going to.
What are the agreements? Could we kind of go through that a little bit?
Sure.
Interrupting. Sorry, I want to get into it.
No worries. Yeah. So when I went to treatment the last time, this was the 3rd time I figured, I was like, 3rd time's a charm, right? And so I went in, and I loved my counselor at this point, and I knew I was 30 years old at this point, and so I was like, okay, I need to change my life. I'm going downward. I'm going to either kill somebody or kill myself, or like not intentionally, not necessarily. I wasn't thinking suicidal thoughts, but I thought more along the lines of I could kill somebody in a really severe car accident, and I can go away to jail forever, and I could die there. Somebody else could die, and I could feel the guilt for a long time. And so she gave me this book, and the 4 agreements, the first one's be impeccable with your word. The second was don't take things personally. And I think that's one thing that people do a lot, because you take something personally, and you just have to think to yourself, it's not about you. It's usually about the person or the situation. And the other thing is don't make assumptions is the third one. That's a big one people do all the time, every day. People make assumptions about things. And every time that I had an assumption come in my head, or any time that I'm talking to somebody close to me, like I help them understand and point out that is an assumption they're making, and they can't think of it like that, and they don't need to worry about it. And then the last one is always do your best. And that's what I always put through for my life and for my business, is always do your best, because as long as you know you're doing your best, then you've gotten to that point. Like if somebody's not satisfied with something, then you can't help them. Like you've done your best to help either produce a product or tell them a story or whatever it is that you're doing. But as long as you live by these 4 agreements, you think differently. As long as you keep some of those at the top of your head, especially the don't take things personally and don't make assumptions. Like those are the 2 ones I think the people I speak with usually have the most hard like doing. Like they're just like, and you hear it in people's conversations. Like you're like, they're talking about something and you're just there and you're like, you're making an assumption. You don't need to worry about this in your life. Worry about yourself. Worry about your own focus. Don't take things personally. Think people have a hard time letting things go. And so I got to the point where I was like, okay, live by these rules. Like these agreements that I was like made to myself so that I could just keep moving on every day. And every time a thought would come in my head, I'm like, just think about these. I'm like, okay, I'm taking that personally. I just need to let it go. I just need to move forward. I'm like, oh, I totally make an assumption there. I have no idea about this person's life. I need to just not do that. That's not nice. That's not fair, to that person. So yeah, just kind of changed my thought process of things after I read the book. And then when I continuously live by it, and I've been living by it for 7 years, let's see, I actually will have 7 years sober a month from today. So December 20th, next month will be my 7-year mark.
I'm giving you a virtual high five right now. That is amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's been quite the process. And I know I don't have like a ton of time to share like everything because there's so many stories within the stories, like I remember when we found out that our one friend committed suicide, and I just was like, it was almost like unreal. I was like, why would she want to take her life? Everyone in the group always thought like that she was prettier than everyone, but a lot of the time I felt like her self-esteem was very low. She got into major drug addictions. She started becoming homeless. She started doing meth, and I had lost touch with her the last year that she was alive, which I felt bad about, and there's always those things like the what if I would have called them, what if I would have reached out, what if I would have messaged them, like what would they be around today? And you can't blame yourself for things that people do. Depression hits all of us in different levels, and a lot of us, I've had family members talk about suicide and thoughts of it, and we've all gone through there. I've had a line of alcoholics in my family on one side and not the other. It's just different things that come in life, and we just have to kind of go with the punches as they go and just be there for the other people. And I just was really hit though, like a couple months ago. Like I was actually at an event. I was speaking in Portland, and I was like super excited about that event. And it was hard because here I had all these people messaging me through Facebook that I hadn't talked to in years. And I knew something had happened because of that. I'm like, oh man, I knew I couldn't open the messages though, because I was like in this mindset where I was like, I'm about to take a big stage, and I have to be focused on what I'm teaching these individuals. I have to be focused and keep my energy level up. But I knew something had happened, and I gave in, and I opened one of the messages. And I was like, oh, I'm like, no, I'm like, this is so hard. Like, and I had thought to myself too, like, and I didn't want to take anything personally either, because I literally had saw a post like maybe 2 weeks before that on my friend's page that was like, at least I have my AA friends. And I saw it, and I don't remember if I was traveling, but then these thoughts, come into our heads were like, what if I would have just reached out? In that moment, like, why didn't I reach out and say, hey, I'm here for you. Call me. I'm always here. Call me. So it just got really, excuse me, it got hard. So it just got really hard to know that, the last time I saw her, we were about to go jump out of planes together. We were skydiving buddies. And, back when I lived in Washington State a couple years ago, and I hadn't seen her since, but I knew that she was struggling. And But the fact that I would comment on things, and then when something appears, you always think to yourself, why is that appearing in my feed right now? Is it an intuition that I must respond to this person? Obviously, we go through Facebook comments all the time, but when you see something, reach out to people if you feel like there is something there. So it changed my thought to like, if I was to ever see a friend in need again, which I actually saw one this week that is from my past, that I was like, hey, I was like, just know that I'm thinking about you. I'm sending you virtual hugs. You might be, in Washington State right now, but I saw the same signs, and I like reached out this time, and I actually sent a message and started this. Had my friend join this 7-day challenge. I was like, it was all about being positive in your posts for the next 7 days and try not to post negative thoughts or just uplift yourself. And so I was like, hey, why don't you be a part of this? And, just because those signs came in, these signs come in with people, and you just don't know if people have what it takes to go that next step in suicide, which I don't think anyone should ever do that to themselves, but just know that there's always people there for you. But if you see the signs, like, don't be afraid to reach out to people, because you never know, 2 weeks later they could not be there, right?
Right. Thank you. So, and the saddest part is, I know that, coming from just my experience, I don't know everyone else's experience, but when you go down that rabbit hole and you think about suicide a lot, sometimes even people reaching out to you isn't enough. That's the saddest part. Is it's just like sometimes you don't feel like being helped, and I think timing is everything. And but to be in front of people at least all the time is better than just pretending that they're not hurting and ignoring them. And when you're feeling completely alone, that is it's not even a feeling. It's such a numbness to you that you don't even know what to do anymore. I mean, you feel so blank. And anybody that's going through it right now, please just know that there are people out there, like you were saying, that do love you. I guarantee there are people that love you and care about you. And I know that sometimes people aren't into the woo-woo, like motivational self-help quotes. I don't care. I think they're amazing. I think they're great. And the people that are into them really went through some serious stuff to where they actually start listening to those awesome quotes, like do something you love and be yourself, and uh, be around the people that you wish to be instead of just doing all these things. Because when you just keep doing all these things and you get stuck in your rabbit hole, I didn't read Four Agreements that changed my life, but I read The Power of Habits by Charles Duhigg, and that changed my life. Just the idea of like, oh, this is why I keep doing this, because there's the triggers that lead up to the smells or the music or all these little things. The way I wake up in the morning, and then I just start doing that thing, and I'm on autopilot, and now I'm down. I'm already two thoughts into thinking badly about myself, and those were triggers into getting into deeper depression. So, God, oh, Tamara, thank you so much for sharing all this stuff. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it.
Everyone goes through their own life. Everyone has their own story to tell, and we choose our path. And so if you want people that want to keep living and sharing their journeys, we have this one life that we're living, and there's so many opportunities to live life to the fullest and go out and experience things, and that's why I started my brand the way I did, because our whole purpose is to create, connect, and inspire through storytelling. But it's all about, like, a lot of the stuff that we do, like our products even are called experiences, because we want people to experience the best experience that they can have, or add some experience to their life that they're never going to forget, and then they're going to hold on to. And just, I don't know, it's hard. I went to AA for 3 years. I had my sponsor, and people can look down on me or not, but I stopped going to that group, because at that point, and this is just my own opinion, because I believe that having a support group is very beneficial and helpful for a lot of people. But it got to the point where you walk into a room and you're you're constantly being reminded, that you're an alcoholic and that you're, all these bad experiences, and some people need to latch on to that. But I'm so focused on being in the present and the now and setting goals for the future that I've basically shoved my past. My past makes me who I am, but I've put these experiences behind me. And so it's very interesting to me because I changed my whole mindset and the thought of, well, I want to focus on what's here, and I have my coping mechanisms, and I have the way that I, if it's exercising or hiking or, going in the hot tub or whatever it is that helps relax me. Like, we all have these things to latch onto. But I got to the point where I would step into these rooms. I would feel depressed because, of course, everyone's sharing their stories and their journeys, and that's important. But it got to the point where I personally had to branch out and figure out my own story, my own path, and realize that I wanted to stay strong on this. And I had my own support system, my own people that I wanted to call if I ever had help. And so that was my journey. And I collected my coins and everything like that. And that wasn't something that I felt like I needed after that point. But I don't recommend people that are, really needing help or wanting a support system and need that. People should stay in groups like that to keep going and staying strong, because a lot of us don't have the ability to step forward and stay strong at times. And I don't know what it is in myself that I just pushed forward, and I started focusing on business, and my addiction turned from alcohol to business. Like, I'm definitely addicted to business, but I'm also passionate about it. I also love it. I love to talk about it. I love video. I love directing films. And I just really started focusing on the positive stuff and the people, but I kept keeping people around me that were sober. I continuously hang around people that are sober because I have triggers here and there too, that I just took myself out of specific scenarios, like when we go to events, or if I'm speaking at an event, or there's cocktail parties or networking parties. Of course, there's alcohol and things around. I made a rule to myself. I'm like, I don't stay out past 10 o'clock because I don't like to be around individuals that are, slashed out drunk. I don't like that atmosphere. I don't go into bars because I always have to have water in my hand or some other drink that's non-alcoholic. I always have to have a cup in my hand because my mouth begins to just like get dry. Like, I'm like, it's just a weird kind of trigger that happens. So I know that being an alcoholic, these things are still with me, going through it even years later. Like, I just don't put myself in certain situations. And it's definitely helped me through the process of me building a business. Surrounding myself with the right people. I stepped into the entrepreneur space, and it's interesting because a lot of the entrepreneurs that I meet, a lot of the successful entrepreneurs I meet actually don't drink, and they said that it clogs their clarity and other things, and I agree. So it's very awesome to say that I've met some really awesome people that I can connect with that are sober. Or people that have had experiences like me that are building successful businesses. And those are the people that I feel like I can reach out and talk to as well. So I've had a different story than other people. So, but it's helped me along the way.
Hey guys, I gotta interrupt this real quick to do a call to action, as they call it in the podcasting world. I've got this call to action about, have you ever had a story that you felt like you needed to share? A story that you need to get off your chest? And you have this imposter syndrome in which you think that it's not good enough to share. But let's be honest, any trauma that you've ever gone through needs to be shared. You deserve for your voice to be heard. So if you ever want your voice to be heard, please let me know. I'd love to help you with a podcast. Maybe writing books just isn't your thing, but a podcast, you're a talker. You know how to talk. Well, back to my interview. Yeah, you it's so funny when you get around those people that are just doing things that are really, really changing the world. And I don't say that like a lightly, oh yeah, they're just changing the world. But these people are creating businesses that are making lives so much greater, and they're not creating a product, but they're creating an influence on people. And when you get around those people
Mm-hmm.
that are creating, like, they're not selling anything, they're just influencing people to become a better part of themselves,
Mm-hmm.
to really like gain a feeling that they become addicted to. And that's just the feeling of being good again, like just feeling healthy. And
Mm-hmm.
that is such an amazing thing when you can find that sort of like company, that's not just a company anymore, but a real person. And
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Even though people talk about Gary Vee and what he does and stuff like that, some people love him, some people hate him. I love the guy because he just is so he's someone who lifts you up. He's intense. He's my cup of water when I'm like it's just down and out and I need hydration. On just waking myself up and going, dude, Logan, you
He's a
keep
good guy. He's
hurting
a good
yourself.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I met him at Thrive a couple years ago. Our team was
Wow.
working the production on Thrive, and met him behind stage and got to chat with him for a few minutes. And just a very down to earth guy, and smiles at you. And he's not like all the other influencers that might just walk by you and not give you the time of day, or there are people that are literally like, what, you don't know who I am? Or it's like, why does that matter? Like, he's just very open to people, and I appreciate his just consistency of taking action and just giving people, he just gives people advice based on what he's learned, and he just takes massive action, and he's just very continuous of that, which is really cool. And people just need to see that people can pursue things and just keep taking massive action and be positive about it. And you're changing people's lives. Like, he runs a successful media company as well, but he's out there speaking on stages, and he's a good person. And I was fortunate to be able to meet him in person, so that's cool.
Well, I couldn't imagine. I would love to be on the fly on the wall to see you two talk to each other because that would be like my Super Bowl. Definitely. Oh, that'd be so cool. But I wanna respect your time because I know you're super busy, Tamara, with your video production and all that jazz. But I want to get into just some, scratching the surface sort of questions real quick, and then I'll let you go. And I want to for just like just say thanks beyond thank yous for just yeah, going down and being vulnerable like this. It's not easy for everyone to do this, and it's a superpower that I think you have. And so thank you so much for sharing that with us.
You're welcome. I think it can be hard for people to share stories and be vulnerable, but you also, by being vulnerable, you also attract people. And it might just be attracting people that are having a hard day, or if it's somebody that wants to work with us, or if somebody wants me to share a story on a stage, or whatever it is. I'm attracting different types of people by the stories I share. And so it's just, I don't know, if you're not authentic with people, like, why share a story? Like, why not dig deep into why you do what you do, or what's happened in your life? Because the more you share, the more people relate. And I think it's just important to be authentic.
Yeah, I agree so much. So whenever you're ready, I want to get into these last, I guess you can call them rapid fire questions. But I don't know. I end up having these questions and they become the greater part of the interview. But I know you're on a
Sure.
limited time, so we'll
No,
try
it's
to
okay.
get
Go
through
for
them right
it.
away.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm ready.
Uh,
Rapid
so
fire.
rapid fire. So the first question I'd like to ask is, what's the worst habit you're trying to kill right now?
Ooh, probably the days that I sit too much. I get into these like modes of like on the computer or calls, and I won't get like my exercise in. I haven't been consistent in my exercise the last couple months. It's a bad habit.
Yeah, it happens. I actually, if you look at what I'm doing right now, I'm on a recumbent bike right now. And I just,
Oh,
I do a
cool.
little desk work and I have the recumbent bike where I can, move my feet, make sure blood is circulating.
I was thinking about
Also, I
doing
know
a
a lot of people,
treadmill disc. The treadmill
yeah,
discs. Yeah.
those are amazing. Those are amazing. And I recommend them to everyone because they are better than any espresso cup or any other rock star because they'll keep you energized and you burn some calories while doing it.
Yeah, I've seen a few of our clients have some of them. We were filming some videos for Mark Lack at Ty Lopez's house, and we were doing productions in the library. And Ty Lopez has his treadmill desk with. I was like, that should be beneficial for me right now. So definitely want one.
Well, hey, I think in the future you could totally get one, but I know you're moving around a lot as far as location wise, so
Yeah,
you're gonna.
I'm not like as consistent. Last month I was in Europe and we were walking like miles a day, and I was like I lost a whole pant size, and then I get back into the groove, and all of a sudden I'm like sitting again. So I'm like, okay, just need to be more mobile because the holidays are coming. You sit, you eat a lot of turkey, mashed potatoes. Christmas rolls around, you sit some more, eat some more ham, But yeah, I just need to be more mobile. That's my bad habit right now.
No, you're amazing. You're killing it. It's all about trade-offs, I think, in life. One moment we're killing it in our business, and then our health is going down. I think there's only 24 hours in a day, and you just got to make trade-offs, and um, that's kind
Yeah,
of the
the
beauty in life,
health
in a
thing.
way.
Yeah, no, the health, like, that's the one thing after starting my business that I always tell people, I'm like, don't be like me because I put my health on the back burner especially after being in the fitness industry for like 8 years. Like, wow, it's major change. Like, I'm like, okay, being in like a health club and a gym environment for a while to, running, productions and being in an office and stuff like that. It's very much different. So I didn't realize how much I actually did walk around and move and exercise until I stopped.
Yeah. Oh God. I hate that. I hate that. I hate that. I want to help you so much right now, but I know that you'll get it. You'll get it because
I'll,
you're.
I'll get back into it. I used to be a trainer. I know what I need to do. I just need to do it. So,
I love it. So I want to ask you if you could pick anybody living or dead, anybody through the history of time, and sit them down in a chair and ask them one question. What question would you ask them and why?
well, it'd be Lori Grenier, and I guess by that point it would be um, like what advice she would give. This is a hard one. Probably be instead of giving me advice, I'd want her to give advice because by that point she's sitting down in a chair because she's in our documentary film. So it would be what um, um, what advice would you give? Uh, hmm. The entrepreneurs when they've been in business for 5 years and they haven't budged. Like, I guess because I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that have been in business and they just don't. Like, how did they scale after their first 5 years? I'd ask her because I know her. She obviously had a husband that supported her, but I know in her, she didn't even pay herself the first 5 years in her business. So I'd kind of relay some kind of question to her about her first 5 years of business and her choice of how she got through not paying herself during that time.
That's neat. That's really cool. Do you want to go into a little bit of a context of, I mean, unless you think it will take too long, about the documentary you're currently working on?
Well, we're in pre-production, so um, we've been kind of shifting it around. It's more about like shifting to success. So we so in the pre-production phase of it, we're almost doing a shift in it ourselves, and because we have multiple people interested in Q, but I almost want to shift it and interview the female entrepreneurs. Um, I mean, we see a lot of entrepreneurs out there, a lot of entrepreneurial films. It's very male dominated, and I almost want to just kind of reach out and talk to females this time. And so we're kind of in that process right now. But we've been talking to a lot of different people though that are interested. A lot of influential people, a lot of kind people, a lot of people giving back, and yeah, I can't give you like all of it, but it's more about shifting to success. So that's something we'll be producing probably towards the end of 2018.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Awesome. I'm excited for you guys to go down that road and scratch that passion that you have for it because
I love
I just
I love scratching ducks. I love scratching ducks. I'm like, I'm here. I'm very persistent. People are like, how did you even do that? Or how did you connect with that person? I'm like, I asked and I was persistent. I was in their face. I was in their space. I was in their ear. I was talking to their managers. I was talking to their assistants. I'm just always there. Like I don't know, people can't assume that you can get somebody on a show or on a film just by asking once or following up once. Like the power of the follow up is very key. And I do this all the time. And people like, I got a message the other day. I wish I could just like read it to you. It was really funny. The guy was like, I admire, what did he say? I wanted to see if I saw it. It was really cool though, because it just made me like talk about how like he says, I can't thank you enough for the kind emails I receive from you. You have amazing customer service and make me feel so comfortable reaching out. Like those are the kind of responses that are cool. He went into more depth, but when you're able to follow up and you help people through their process of not just trying to sell to them, but how you can help them through the process and who you can connect with them with. This one individual that I just read his email, he was saying that they're doing an event in St. Louis. I said, how can we help, provide for you? Like, so that you open up conversations. So he's looking for sponsorship. So I start making introductions. And so you keep people in your space and that's how you build. So then, I was able to connect with Marcus Lemonis's team a few years ago. And then I ended up meeting Marcus Lemonis and I spoke on stage with him at Icon this year. I've made connections with Lori Grenier's team and I'm, like just these people that I'm just constantly growing and outreaching and to stay in their space. Like that's something that I'm just really passionate about because it's the power of connection. No matter what you do, I just kind of went on a tangent there, but I think it's important just to connect with people. So yeah.
No, you're good. You're good. This is great. No, I think the power of connection is, it's honestly become my new profit. So I totally get it. I don't profit money wise, but if I'm connecting with people, having conversations with new friends, that is my new profit. That's my new dollar amount. So, with that, what's your what's a superpower that people don't know about Tamara Thompson?
Superpower. Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think my superpower is just being open and real and honest and just very persistent. Like that's not like I think that's just me though. Like I'm really good at being persistent, but I'm very real. Even John Lee Dumas, I asked him, I said, John, what made you want to be in my film? I'm sure you're approached by many people. And he was like, Tamara, he's like, I could just tell how passionate you are and how knowledgeable you are about, video production. And I just wanted to meet you. Like I felt like the connection there was a connection. And then after you hop on a call, and it's like automatic, like the building relationships, the passion. Like I think my superhero power would be just being able to connect with people.
It's so cool. It's so cool. And I think that I love asking that question to you because I knew it already. And I really wanted to see if you knew it. And in a way, it was just kind of like, sometimes we're not always aware of our superpowers, but oftentimes it's because
it's my strong suit. It's my strong suit.
Yeah, well, we gotta just be told sometimes, and I think that's why you gotta get around people that you enjoy being with, because they'll tell you, hey, you're really good at XYZ, or you should go down that path, because sometimes like it's not a matter of like being depressed, it's just a matter of like you just don't know what you're amazing at because no one's telling you it. You just gotta get around some people that you love being with, and so yeah, that's really cool that John Lee Dumas said that to you.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, I agree. I think he does some great work. So I really love him. What is miscellaneous book, television show, movie, anything that you would recommend to someone to pick up right now today to possibly get their
I would
life
definitely
changed?
just say again, even though I said it before, but I would say pick up the book, The Four Agreements. I think it's by Miguel, and I'm trying to think of his last name. And Angel Ruiz, Miguel Angel Ruiz, is the author. The Four Agreements, definitely. And hey, and if you guys are inspired to be entrepreneurs, you should definitely check out our Inspired by 11 documentary too, because it definitely helps people through that process of inspiration. People that actually want to try to build their own business, then they can look up Inspired by 11, like the number 11.com, and it's free. You can watch the documentary there. So
Cool.
yeah, those are for inspiration. And then the Four Agreements, definitely, if you're having a hard time and you're like, I just need to get more positive in my life, I need to like just knock out these like, thoughts and just, have something to latch on to that you can always know, and then really work on just always doing your best.
Well, as you can see that the Four Agreements changed Tamara's life, I think they can change yours too. I want to pick up that book and start adopting it into my life like you did, and I definitely got to look into it more. I keep hearing more about it. It almost comes down to there's just so many amazing books out there. It's like which one to pick.
Or
Right
pick it
now,
up on or even pick it up on audio book or something if people just want to listen. Like if they don't have much time to read. Like I think there's Audible books too.
yes, there is. I'm an audio fan. I'm listening to podcasts and audiobooks like 24/7. But Tamara, what's your spirit animal?
Tiger. No, I'm like a tiger. I love the tigers. I don't know. I just have an attachment to tigers. Tamara the tiger.
Tamara the
it's like
tiger.
Tony the tiger from like Frosted Flakes. I'm like, I loved him. I was like, Tamara the tiger. Get your Frosted Flakes.
I love it. I love it.
I love tigers. Because I'm dominant. I can be overpowering at times, but I'm also like a leader. I'm a strong leader, but I'm also compassionate as well. So and I love to listen. So, I'm very observant. And so I think the traits of a tiger are very much in me. So.
That's so cool. I did one of my best book reports in 4th grade was on a tiger. That was the first time I actually put effort into schoolwork at all. So that's why I bring it up.
Probably a fun project. That's why you remember it.
It was a really cool project. Put together an awesome tiger binder with Siberian tigers and all kinds of tigers, and just really delved into that sort of world of. I all of a sudden started going, no way, the lion is king of the jungle. Like tigers have to be the king of the jungle. They're amazing. So it kind of gave me a soreness towards the Lion King for a little bit, but that's okay. I think that Tiger King will come out soon. Maybe that's an idea for your company.
We'll see.
I don't know.
We'll see.
I'm just
Jungle
joking.
Book 5.
Jungle Book, yeah. Awesome. I want to just ask 2 more questions and then let you go. The last one, the second to last one is Tamara, if you had 3 minutes to record anything that you wanted to give to your family, your loved ones, your friends, and this recording was going to reach out to the world, what would you want to put on that 3 minutes?
Well, I would put together a compilation of stories from my past, and I would overlay visuals, and I would make sure that it would be a visual recording video, and then make sure I chose the right music to evoke the emotion, to share the stories and thank everyone in my life that was important to me, like what they meant to me and through the journey, and just thank the mentors along the way. But by putting creative B-roll over it, imagery that best told that story, I would plan it all out, of course, storyboard it.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I would love to see that little 3 minutes. So if you ever do that, just because you feel like it's a good passion project, please share it with us.
I'll definitely do that. Right now, I'm in the current production of the post-production of our own Stories brand trailer right now. So that has some passionate stories in there too. So yeah, I'll share that when it's done.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. I will plug that. I'll plug anything you want me to in the show notes, so just let me know. But the last question is, what is an itch that you're excited to scratch?
Well, right now I'm in that mode to keep moving forward, but with our stage experience that we provide for speakers, we produce high quality professional speaker trailers that they can send out. But what's really cool about it is we held this event last year, and from there we learned and received feedback from people, and we started asking our audience more like what they need, what their pain points were, and things like that. And I just started like scratching the point of like redesigning and structuring the event so that it's more focused on the speakers for the trailer part, but also helping them create an electronic press kit for them and a one sheet, as well as giving them the right connections to put together, like if they need event professionals, if they need an event planner, if they need to hold their own events, if they need to connect with more people in organizations, like which speaker organizations do they need to connect with the most, or how do you do this, how do you outsource, how do you have someone help you get more speaking engagements. Like I just started scratching basically that project, because we're going to be launching that in January. We're coming to New York, we're going to Seattle, we're going to San Diego, we're going to Phoenix, to really reformulate this package that we have. And I'm just really excited about it, because it's something that I was really passionate about, and I just didn't know how. A couple of years ago I didn't know how I really saw it going, but now I really have started that scratch. I'm just like, okay, now I'm like gonna go full force mode into things. I was kind of telling you before our recording that I'm just really passionate about getting stuff together, and that's the one thing that I'm really just, it's just kind of been there, what I've been scratching at it the past like few months, so like itching it, but it's coming into scratching mode. So I'm really excited about that.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Thank you for doing that, for putting it all together, for making it happen, for making people that are really, really, really amazing people, but yet people don't know about it yet. So like you in your company, they deliver this amazing product to just make people really get a glimpse on what they're doing in their life. And also the people that are going through it, like you've spoken about earlier, have had experiences where they go, oh my God, I never even knew this about myself, or I never looked at storytelling in this way. And when you do that, I think that's like the secret can to everything in life is you can know other people really well, but until you know yourself really well, like that is the secret to success, because then you know how to operate and how to bring
Well,
your
people connect through stories, and when people so we have a few different products. So we have our speaker trailer experience that's specifically for speakers sharing, a 5-minute talk on stage. Well, their actual final end video is 5 minutes, but they get longer to speak on stage. But then our brand trailers is really like connecting with people with like the creative cinematography, the music, telling the story, bringing out the 4K drone, flying over the beach, whatever it is their brand represents. What's their story? Instead of having people come up and they're like, okay, the people are releasing these videos that are lackluster and they're just salesy, and the more competitive people get in these industries, especially in the self-help and coaching and consulting and speaking industries, you have to stand out, and you need to be authentic, and you need to be real, and your story needs to make sense, and it needs to connect with your audience, period. Or people are just going to be like, next, like you have to make it powerful. You have to have it visually appealing. And people just need to understand that the more people they can reach by sending out these videos as well to people, or putting on their website, or putting in their email campaigns, or marketing ads to them, like the more people they're going to reach, and the more people are going to connect with them based on the story and the visual that matches, instead of just selling a product. You are selling yourself, because most people want to connect with the person or the team, or they're like, wow, that's amazing. Like they need to see the value in it themselves before they invest in something like this. But everyone needs and has a story to share. But being able to share it authentically, I think, is just really important, because some people just throw videos up and they're just pitching all the time, and nobody likes that anymore. Like it's just so overdone in the online space. I'm like, just share stories. So yeah.
yeah. It's just hard. Like not everyone comes from our backgrounds of. For me, art saved my life, and I think it's saving your life right now. And I don't use that word loosely. Like it is literally saving my life by telling stories. I promise you, anybody that's listening right now, and I'm not like trying to like prove anything, but I'm only here because of podcasting and being able to share these stories with other people. And I know I would not be around anymore because I'd feel like I'm not living for anything. And just knowing that keeps me going. And I don't care if people are like, oh God, this guy's being sobby or like, fuck you. I'm sorry, but I need to do this because I feel like it's in my heart and my entire being to just go and help people tell their stories and go and help myself by telling my own story. So I don't know about salesmanship and I don't know everything about it, but I do know that everything that's come great in my life has always happened because someone just was vulnerable and let themselves out there and put themselves out there and owned who they are, no matter if they're in a good place or a bad place. So, yeah, I don't know why I kept rambling just now, but felt like I
That's
needed
good
to,
though.
yeah,
That's
get
good.
that. Thank you. You just bring it out of me. So, gosh, with all this being said, and I can't believe we just went through this. This has been a journey. Thank you so much for this last rich hour of storytelling and also what your company does and why you kind of created your company and so much more. Tamara, if people want to reach out to you, where can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, no, probably the best place is to look up. You can either connect with me on LinkedIn, Tamara Thompson, or you can look at my director page on Facebook. Just type in director Tamara Thompson, and you'll find me because I'm just super passionate about directing films. So I think that, or you can even look up Serious Take Productions, which is our business. You could connect through the Facebook there. Always looking to connect with people. Twitter at Serious Take Pro. I like Twitter too. That's kind of how I used my connections in the beginning a few years ago. I don't use it as much anymore, but Twitter is where it started, so it's kind of cool.
So cool. And if you're driving right now, I hope you stopped on the side of the road and started writing this stuff down right away. Totally kidding. No, I'll put this all in the show notes.
Just
So,
reverse,
yeah,
replay.
just stop driving.
Don't
Write it
stop
down.
driving. Just drive safely.
Tamara says stop driving. I say no. I say,
No,
or
I
you
said
say
don't stop driving. I
don't
said
stop
drive
driving.
safely. Just
Oh,
drive
well,
safe.
I say, I say stop driving right now and stop what you're doing and you put your life on hold in order to get these amazing connections with Tamara Thompson. Because I think they are amazing. No joke. If you heard any quotes today from Tamara or myself, and you want to, start actually implementing this gold into your life, please, please, please just put it out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's going to become a part of your life by doing that. When you put that stuff out there in action and you read that quote that Tamara said today, or you read that quote that I said today, really great artists do steal. And when you are starting from nowhere and you feel like you don't have a story to tell, don't start on a blank canvas. Just take from one of us. And I mean, you don't have to plagiarize and pretend it's your own. You can, put us in there and connect with us. I think that's the best thing out of all with storytelling is you just connect more and more people. And when you do that, well, you start making friends. And when you have good people in your life, like Tamara was sharing earlier, you become what is it, like the 5% of the most amazing people that you associate yourself with. I don't know. I kind of screwed that quote up. But
The
anyway.
5 people. It's like the 5 people. Make sure you surround yourself with the 5 people that are going to help lift you up. It's similar. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've been hanging out with Tamara Thompson and myself. But I want to just say one more thank you for coming on Scratch Your Own Itch, Tamara.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate
All right, guys. Well, there you have it. Another episode of Scratch Your Own Itch with Tamara Thompson and I. I cannot believe the story we just went on. Oh, God, that was a journey. Oh, geez. Hey, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, guys. That was another episode of Scratch Your Own Itch with Tamara Thompson and myself. wow, is she an amazing person. She's been through so much, and I related with her so much, and I really hope that someone feels less alone because of that story. And I also think that actually, I know that you could help this show out just by leaving a review. I know I'm shoving it down your throats, but I really want you guys to just let me know what you think of the show. And it's super simple. All you have to do is go to your iTunes store or any Android device that you listen to this podcast on, go to the review section, hit the reviews button, and simply type in whatever your thoughts are. Heck, you can even steal a review from someone else's reviews and post it and copy and paste it. Although I don't want you to do that because I think it'd be inauthentic and be lying to yourself. But I just need to know something, please. I really appreciate you guys supporting the show by listening all the time. Let me know if I can do anything else for you. If I see a review that I like, I would love to get you a gift and also read off my favorite review. So with that said, also hit the subscribe button and don't wait on any new episodes that roll out. And once they roll out, you'll get notified exactly on what they are and who they're from. And 9 times out of 10, they're from Scratch Your Own Itch. Because if you hit my subscribe button, well, you're getting me. And now you got to deal with me. So, anyways, don't ever forget, you matter and you're enough.